Wesley So giving a check with his queen. All he needs to do is bring his bishop into the attack. In this position, Wesley So has given a check to the black king. The problem is for Wesley, he's got 1 minute and he has the option to make a draw. He can keep giving checks with his queen and the game will be a draw, but he needs to realise he can play for more here. All he needs to do is bring his bishop into the game. White's bishop doing nothing. If that bishop joins the attack, the game is over. White will give checkmate. Wesley So, though, it's not clear, it's not obvious. He needs to be accurate. He needs to be quick. He gives another check.
And I think he's going to...
Oh, look at the bar. It goes down to draw again.
Yes, I think he had the right idea, but perhaps the wrong execution, because I think black can stop this bishop from entering the game. Magnus Carlsen has been let off the hook, David.
Oh, is this a terrible blunder by Wesley So?
Yeah, it's just the wrong execution. You know, if the bishop wanted to come in to deliver a check, but here, Magnus has got 9 lives.
That's right. So white wants to, one move now. The bishop, if it lands on this square, that's immediately checkmate, attacking the black king. So therefore, Magnus, he only has 1 move. Only 1 move saves the game for black. He needs to bring his queen and protect this square, stop white from giving check on this square. Every other move loses. Magnus, he's been given a chance. Will he find it? Wesley So, he's lost control, but actually it's not completely obvious for Magnus. He needs to find this 1 move to survive.
All right, so now we are looking for this 1 move by Magnus Carlsen.
That's right. This is these guys are so good. The fine margins, tiny margins. It's just 1 move here and there. Magnus, he needs to find that move.
And he did.
And he's found it.
He does find that move. Wesley So giving a check with his queen. Will he realise he's blown the advantage now? He can still play for the win. He's giving a check on a different square this time. The problem for Wesley So is his bishop can't enter the attack. And black has a very dangerous pawn now on the left side of the board. It's a race against time.
Can black actually win this now?
If Wesley's not careful, maybe black can win. Wow. That's why he has to possibly take a draw. He has to just keep checking until the end of the game and force a draw. If Wesley plays on, black's pawn there on the left side is possibly just going to run down and make another queen for black. Wesley, he'll be so gutted if he misses this one. If he messes this one up, he's so close.
Because he knows he's been in a very good winning position. Obviously, does he know now that he's no longer in that great winning position?
No, he probably doesn't know. This is one of those things that's probably going to suddenly dawn on him as he tries to involve that bishop into the game. Until then, I don't think he realises. He's just going to keep checking, and then the penny will drop, and then he'll realise, oh dear.
We will keep an eye on Wesley So's face to see what it looks like when he might realise that, again, he blundered a winning position. We've seen this, too many times from him in this tournament.
That's right. That killer instinct, it's normally there, but it's just when he faces the very top guys like Magnus Carlsen, like Hikaru Nakamura, sometimes he just chokes right next to the finishing line. And here we saw just 1 move would have finished the game off, would have given him a +9 advantage, a queen advantage, but this time it looks like he's allowed Magnus Carlsen to escape.
And he has gone under the minute on the clock. He has made his move.
And he's doing a series of checks, and now he's desperately trying to figure out a way to get that bishop into the attack. But I think, yes, one of the things with Wesley is that it's the last minute, the last 2 minutes when he has to be very precise, and that is when it happens, that he squanders away several winning positions. And it's very unfortunate, but it's actually part of rapid chess.
Of course, yeah. And under 20 seconds for Wesley So there.
Yeah.
Right. And we've actually had, if Magnus moves his king forward diagonally, we've had this position before. Will we see a repetition of moves? Will we see Wesley So bail out, escape from this game with a draw, knowing that he missed an opportunity, or will we see him take a risk and try and win? There's still chances for both sides if Wesley So doesn't continue checking here. Wesley So, he could still try to deliver checkmate. The problem is he's only attacking with 1 piece. A queen on her own is not enough to checkmate. And Wesley, he turns down the chance to make a draw. He takes a pawn. He's going for the win here, Wesley So. Shouldn't be enough, but he's still going to test Magnus Carlsen. Magnus Carlsen has to be accurate. Wesley So, on this last move, if he kept giving check, we would have seen the position repeat itself and make a draw. Instead, he's playing for the win. We love to see it, but it's a bit of a risk. Black now has a few moves. Black can just push a pawn. Black can move his queen forward. If you imagine the black queen there, it can just jump up 1 square, protect that pawn on the other side of the board.
Oh, but Magnus has moved his queen. Perhaps that's a...
I think that move should
be fine. Yeah, it should be absolutely fine. Because you have to remember, it is just the white queen that is giving check. And you have to remember my words, the words of my father, who says a queen by herself does not give checkmate. And
she needs her army.
She does need backup. And of course, the queen and the black queen and the bishop are lined up. So black does have the threat of taking white's pawn. So now there is danger on Wesley's side, should he not continue checking.
That's right. So white's king is no longer entirely safe. We see Wesley So shaking his head there. He knows what he's done. He knows there's no chance to win this one anymore. Black is actually one of the ones threatening checkmate. So Wesley, he's continuing to check. He's going to take the draw right now. It's a miracle. As you said, that white queen, she needs her handmaidens. She needs some support. And Wesley, he just never got that bishop into the attack.
Yeah.
I think we're about to see a draw now. Wesley So just giving a lot of checks to the black king. White's queen checks, black king runs, and the dance goes on forever. We will not see a winner to this game. Wesley So, such a big missed opportunity.
Again, I can't believe it. That he's... And it looks like he's realising it now.
Yeah, he's realising now that... Magnus's last move forces him to keep on checking, and there's just nothing to be done. And we have a tweet from Zach who says, watching Super Grandmasters miss winning moves and ideas makes losing at my level feel so much more inconsequential. Hashtag Wesley So. Oh.
These guys are humans too. They might find genius moves from time to time, but every human makes a mistake. I think that's what drove me on when I was young. I knew, OK, even the top players, even grandmasters, you can get at them if you can attack.
Yeah. And especially in this time control, where it makes them much more human. You know, I'm sure at a classical time control of 2 hours, that Wesley would have perhaps taken the time to find the winning move. But here, he missed it.
And he does only have 30 seconds on the clock. Do you think he will now quite fast go into that draw and just admit it is now a draw?
I think he needs to. It could rebound if white plays for the win here. White's king is no longer completely safe. As Jovanka mentioned, black's queen is threatening to drop down 2 squares along the diagonal and take a pawn. And actually, black would be the one giving checkmate. So time is of the essence for Wesley, not just on the clock, but also he needs to urgently stop that threat. He needs to keep giving checks, and the game will repeat itself. The position will repeat itself.
Yeah, Wesley So shaking his head. He is realising this will end in a draw, so close to making a huge comeback after losing the first game. But it just wasn't quite enough.
No, it's not quite close enough. And as Agard Mater says on Twitter, Magnus gets his birthday present early this year. Of course, Magnus celebrating his 30th birthday tomorrow.
Yes. Well, on the Skilling Open final, he will turn 30. Hopefully for him, celebrating also winning the Skilling Open.
That's right. And so close, but no cigar, as they say in England. Wesley very, very close. Black's king now just hiding out.
And he is, well, the clock is really ticking for Wesley, so he is still out here playing his moves.
That's right. He's trying to set some traps. I don't think Magnus is ever going to walk his king too far forward where it might get checkmated. Magnus just keeping his king nice and safe at the top there. That's a very sensible thing to do. As long as you don't let white's bishop check that king, as long as the black king stays on a dark square, black will be completely safe. And as we saw, white has to keep checking, because if white takes a pause, if he takes a timeout, if he pushes a pawn, for example, suddenly black is the one attacking on this diagonal. Black is the one going to give checkmate. So this is why white needs to keep checking and take the draw. Have we seen a result? I think the player's still playing, but unfortunately, maybe Wesley just forgot that black is creating threats of his own now. Magnus Carlsen possibly playing for the win, trying to run away from these checks. OK, Wesley So all under control for now.
All right, well, it is Magnus Carlsen thinking. You said Magnus Carlsen could possibly go for the win. Do you think, is that realistic?
I think probably not, but that's the type of person Magnus Carlsen is. He's trying to play on Wesley So's nerves. And actually, Magnus Carlsen, it looks like he is actually trying to play for the win here.
Wow.
He's trying to stop Wesley So from checking his king. His king hasn't been on the square before. He's allowing a pawn takes pawn. Magnus making a bit of a face there. He looks surprised. I'm not sure whether he missed that last one. It's still under control for black. All he needs to do is take that pawn with his king. Any other move, I think, actually, maybe Wesley's back, back in the driving seat, back in control. Magnus, we're looking for... Okay,
he's taken with the queen, and I think it's still absolutely fine for Magnus.
It does look like that last decision, Magnus is the one feeling ambitious now. We see the black pawn in White's camp over on the left side of the board. That black pawn is going to try and run forward now, sooner rather than later. White centralises his queen. WESLEY SO brings his queen back towards the middle of the board. Sensible stuff, stopping any checks, stopping that black pawn from advancing. Black's queen brings itself back to the square it was on a couple of moves ago. Again, threatening the white king. This one is still in the balance, but it's hard to tell who's playing for the win, who's playing for the draw.
Yeah, and Wesley now has retreated with the queen and now is saying to Magnus, OK, I'm satisfied with the draw now, but look at the position. Suddenly it's a big turnaround because now the initiative is with Magnus. Magnus is the one that is playing for the win. Unbelievable stuff. And this is the difference between grandmasters and me. I think I would probably be OK, you probably deserve the draw, but Magnus is like, nope.
Yeah, Magnus, he knows he's been losing the whole game. As soon as he has a chance to draw, he says, no, I'm going to go for the win.
And, OK, we have to keep an eye on the Wesley's clock because he has 2 seconds and he just made the move to get 12 seconds on the clock. Oh, goodness me. How nerve-wracking is this? And Magnus has lined up his queen and king on the same line to threaten checkmate. And now it's Magnus who really has gone for...
Yeah,
gosh, he's captured a pawn.
Magnus was going for checkmate. He had a checkmate in one threat there. Instead, he's in control. The only one who could ever win this is now black. A complete turnaround. Whoa. Should still be a draw, but Magnus Carlsen, he's the one. Black's queen there shuffling across one square. White needs to get the queen active. White's queen, it dropped back, it retreated. We've said this so many times. Retreating should be for a reason. You should only do it if it's really necessary. Now, White is desperately trying to get that queen into the game. And, OK, it's managing to get it into the game. So that last move was very, very good by Wesley. So, but Magnus has come in with the queen to deliver check, and Wesley had sidestepped the check with the king. And now the issue is, can the bishop and queen of WESLEY SO coordinate into something dangerous? That's right. And it's hard to tell whose king is safer. I would say White's king is slightly safer. It has 2 pawns in front of it. Black's king is slightly out in the open, but it's Black's move. Black can give some checks with the queen right now. So Magnus Carlsen, I think he has to decide. He can force a draw immediately by giving lots of checks with his queen. I'm not sure there's a way to play on. He continues to play on. He's threatening checkmate in one move now. Magnus Carlsen, he's threatening to bring the black queen across 2 squares and capture a pawn in front of White's king, giving checkmate. WESLEY SO needs to be accurate. He needs to find a way to draw this game. He can't take his foot off the pedal for one move, otherwise black will win. No, he cannot allow the black king to find shelter, because that checkmate with the black bishop and queen, it is unavoidable. So in order to avoid the loss, Wesley has to keep checking, and he has to make sure that the king does not find salvation somewhere on the left-hand side of the board. So Wesley again playing it super safe and defending the pawn. He refuses to go for checks. That's right, WESLEY SO on the defensive, retreating there. He's still got it under control. We see the bar is still locked in the middle. This should still be a draw. But Magnus Carlsen, he's playing for the win. That's incredible ambition from the world champion. And actually, we are joined right now by Grandmaster Anish Giri, who has played the Skilling Open. He was knocked out in the quarterfinals by Magnus Carlsen. Hi, Anish.
Hello.
Hi.
Good to hear you. Hi.
So glad to see you, and so much going on in this game right now. I want to ask you, can you take us inside their heads right now? How are they feeling? What are they thinking?
You think I know?
I think you definitely know.
Wesley, I think so much happened they already forgot, but at some point Wesley was sort of winning. But it was not easy. Magnus was putting up some defense, and I think lately Magnus is for the last part of the game. Magnus is a little bit naughty, and he's trying to sort of pretend that he's pushing for a win. Maybe he will confuse Wesley. Who knows? But I think at this point probably the draw is a fair result.
And we are seeing moves just flourish out on the board now. I guess you are seeing what's happening on the board, Anish. Can you help us?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah? Can you,
at some point, Black King was in danger on the right-hand side of the board, but now it's no longer. Now, you know, the king is safe because Black controls all the dark squares, and all his pieces are on the dark squares, and White has the light square bishop, so the bishop cannot touch anything. And so now all of that is gone. There is absolutely no danger to the king. And Black does have a far advanced pawn on the left-hand side of the board there, and one other one on the right-hand side. And, you know, when both pawns start running, there are some chances. But so, yeah, I think now it's already like it changed completely. The landscape has changed completely. And now it's really all about Black pushing for a win in a very, very controlled way. There's absolutely no risk left for him. I think Magnus is really feeling very good about it. And given the psychological turnaround, I think he even has realistic winning chances. Because, you know, you don't want to be, especially whenever you messed up an opportunity, winning opportunity, you don't want to be suffering, you know. You already draw, you know, it's already bad enough. You don't want to start playing for defense. That's very unpleasant.
And David, can we see now by these moves that Magnus Carlsen is really pushing for that win?
That's right. He's trying to put pressure on the board and on the clock. He's taking some small risks here and there. For example, now he's walking into a potential discovered attack, but I don't think this is ever going to come to anything. As Anish said, Black controls all of the dark squares. Black's king will be entirely safe the rest of the game. I'm just looking out for these pawns. WESLEY So going after one of those pawns now. He wants to remove one of them. The problem is the other one might run. And it's hard to tell. I agree with Anish. I think there's decent winning chances here for Black, especially after that psychological.
Yeah, psychologically, Wesley must be incredibly angry with himself. First of all, he's suffering, and secondly, he knows that he messed up a winning position. So, oof.
And 7 seconds on the clock. Anish, how aware are the players now of their clocks that are ticking?
That's terrible. That's terrible. You know, especially 7 seconds is the area in which you sometimes make a decision, take a decision that you can no longer explain. Like, you know, when you have 1 minute, you are like tensed. When you have 7 seconds, you can panic. So many of my opponents or myself, when I see 7 seconds, I mean, so often people make such insane mistakes and they're just so horrible and so beyond their level. And I think, yeah, that's just way too little time. 7 seconds is just, you should never land there. It's just a very bad thing.
And with these last moves, are we still seeing Magnus Carlsen pushing for that win?
He's getting better. His situation is getting better and better because look, he's pushing the queen out because that queen trade, I think, is very dangerous for White. The endgame could be lost, and now he has pushed the queen by threatening a trade. He has pushed it all the way to the side of the board where it does nothing, and now his king starts to walk down. Isn't he already winning actually objectively?
I think so.
It must be very close.
What is the bar? What is the bar saying there? The green bar.
Well, actually, it's only saying a small advantage to Magnus Carlsen.
Yeah,
but you know that, but any advantage is not good at this stage. Yeah, any advantage. I mean, objectively, of course, the computer will still hold, but I think the margin is getting smaller and smaller, and I think before you know it, the bar will swing and never swing back anymore. Oh, now the king comes in. Look at how king comes in. Yeah, I think Wesley will panic now. It's just very hard.
Yeah, even the bar starts.
The bar starts to panic. When the bar starts to panic, guys, it's over.
Exactly. I mean, that Black King has gone on a real journey, on a real adventure. It started off very weak, very exposed on that right side. It's kind of walked itself all the way over to the other side of the board now.
And now it's gone to assist that dangerous pass pawn. Gosh. And
now we see the bar, as Anish is saying, it's going crazy.
He just has to be careful.
Beware of mate there. Beware of mate.
Yes.
That was huge. There is a mate there on the left-hand side.
That's right. There is a trap in this position. If we bring the board up, Anish nearly had a heart attack. I nearly had a heart attack. If Magnus advances king 1 square, there's a trick. This is checkmate. The queen is protected and the Black King is trapped. But what do we think? He won't fall into that, right?
No, he won't fall into that at all.
That's big, yeah, because now I think because of that, he has lost his advantage with Black. Because he missed this idea.
Yeah, but I mean, possibly that's really, really resourceful from WESLEY So there. Somehow Magnus Carlsen, it feels like he'll still be able to set some traps, still be able to slowly start pushing his king forward, those pawns forward.
But is it complicated with, 20 seconds on the clock now for Magnus? Is it complicated finding that win?
Yeah, his nerves will be jangling as well. I mean, it's not a position that's completely devoid of risk for black. If he puts his king on the wrong square, there's still a small chance he might get checkmated. So it's not completely risk-free. And Wesley So looks like he's defending well again.
Yeah. But still, I think this is pure enjoyment for Magnus. It just has to be slightly aware of those traps because, like Anish said, he knows that he's being naughty, trying to push hard for the win when he had such a bad position. But, OK, Magnus has gotten greedy and has now snatched a pawn. So this is going to allow a series of checks. Now, black has to be very careful where to put the king. King has gone to the centre. And we're going to see the king run once more.
Yeah, that king's gone right, it's gone left. We talked about Maradona earlier.
You know what the problem is going to be is that Wesley will pick up that one of these pawns on the left side, and once he picks that one, he will be able to trade queens then, because then he can give up the bishop for the other one, and it will be a theoretical draw. So I think now, yeah, he should take the pawn. Yes, and now I think it's an easy draw because now you can not just trade the queens, and now it's a draw. So I think that's gone. Yeah.
That's right. And Wesley, so he'll go for it. Basically, once the queen trade happens, White's bishop will stop this pawn, and the king will stop this one.
He's playing for a win, I guess. He's already playing for a win.
He didn't do the queen trade.
Yeah, because he plays for a win.
Who's playing for the win? Who's playing for the draw? I think neither of us know, right, Anish?
Are they both playing for the win now,
hang on a second. Something.
Look at the bar.
No, there's something just happened.
Yeah, it just made
Magnus Carlsen, he's blundered into checkmate.
so bad.
Oh, and it's over.
Wesley, this is absurd. Oh my God, this is unbelievable. This is absurd.
I'm speechless.
Okay, well, this is probably the craziest game we've seen so far in the Skilling Open. So Wesley So was completely winning. He blundered. Magnus Carlsen was suddenly winning. He blunders. And Wesley So ends up as the winner of game 2.
And you can just look at that smile on Wesley's face. He's just laughing. Unbelievable stuff.
Magnus had to run away from the board, I think, just so he can have a little scream. I mean, we're right back in the final now.
He threw his mouse. He was like...
Something that he's now going to fix. I saw this video, how he reacts to losses. He said he breaks stuff and then he's trying to put them back together for the next hour.
Is that what Magnus Carlsen wants to do right now?
Currently putting something back